This is a Check This Out exclusive.
Of the 7.2 billion people on Earth, 3 billion have internet access. 2.1 billion are using social media right now.
Check This Out News, coming to you live.
Here we are again at OTT TV Distribution Summit with the big homie, Mr. Robert Johnson, the man, the myth, the legend. Check This Out News, and we're doing it real big here in Marina Del Rey. Thank you so much, first of all, for being on the show.
No, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you a couple of questions here. As we're here and we're looking at kind of, at the end of the day, television, distribution, new platforms that are out there. I'd like to start off first, with where we've come from. And you looked at where you started in this game and to see where things have progressed. Let's start there. What do you think about what you started and to see how this game is elevated, this television digital landscape?
Yeah, well, when you think about how things have progressed, and particularly when you talk about African American content and how it evolved, you got to go back. And when I go back, I don't think about BET cable. I think about Ebony Magazine. Because if you really look at it, Ebony Magazine was a way of telling stories about African Americans in print pages. But the same concept was, these are stories that were not being told. Somebody had to do it. Black radio was playing black music when the other large stations wouldn't play black music. But somebody wanted that music and they wanted to hear that music. So the story of technology is always joined together at the hip with content. And if you have no stories to tell, you can have all the distribution you want, but you can't get the audience. So technology is a transmission form of storytelling.
Right.
And the famous Quincy Jones once said, it's about a word, it's about a song.
Right.
That's what technology does. It gives you access to an emotionally engaging experience of voices, of words, of stories, of music, of things that make you feel a certain emotion. And what makes it so fascinating is that as the technology changes, your ability to embrace the content becomes more fascinating, more exciting, and that's where we end up with the digital world. It's just bringing us more and more, but the stories are what keeps us coming back.
You're a goddamn genius!
Right. Well, let's talk about this content thing, and this generation that we live in is really polarized by the likes of TMZ, YouTube, and I'm going to have to call out Worldstar HipHop. Look at Worldstar, for example, the type of numbers that they're bringing in, and it's really about that type of content that's already attracting attention. But what do you think of where, especially in hip-hop, some of the things that people are doing in this age of social media to get the attention? Since we're talking about content and now the smartphone enables anyone to produce content, host it, and get just as many views as a television show.
Well, that's the part that's most exciting and most fascinating. You should never be afraid of information.
Isaac, can you shut this door for me? Thank you, guys. Thank you. We're recording, so I'm going to need you guys to...
You need to shut the f*** up!
As I was saying, you should never be afraid of free expression of ideas. Because once you begin afraid of free expression of ideas, then somebody's in charge of controlling what you hear.
Right.
And that's dangerous. So, some programming you may not like, some programming I may not like, some things may be said on the internet, some things to be shown on YouTube, some things may be put on Instagram that you think is inappropriate, or on Twitter. But the point is if you live in a country where the First Amendment, or the right to be heard, is sacrosanct, you want it to happen, and you want the technology to be free to make that happen.
Wait, what?
No.
He's got a point.
We want to remind you to please like our Facebook page if you haven't already. When you join, you'll be able to receive weekly updated news and events, live video messages, and most importantly, you'll be able to interact with tons of people just like you. So go on that button on top of your Facebook page and give it a click, or interact with us on Instagram. Without each and every one of you, Tech This Out would not exist. We couldn't do it without you. Make sure to repost and share different things you see on our page. The more you share, the better. Be sure to watch previous shows on our YouTube channel, and please subscribe so that you can be notified when we post new content. We really want to connect and hear from you, so please don't hesitate to message us. And to find us online, please go to Tech This Out America on Facebook, Tech This Out on YouTube, Twitter, and all social media platforms. Get whole scope at techthisoutnews.com. We connect the streets.
So let me go back to the content thing, 'cause I'm going to get into technology, distribution, and all that. But looking at, again, where content is today, we look at the old golden days of, let's say, the Walter Cronkites, the Peter Jennings of the world, to now I have my smartphone. My name is, you name it,
You're diamond and silver.
Exactly.
He's your president. He's your president.
You already got it.
You know, so
you already know what I'm talking
so
about.
you could be diamond and silk, and they have.
So what do you think about that type of content?
They have as much right to be heard as Walter Cronkite had the right to be heard when he was on CBS.
You got to hold yourself back.
New era.
Yeah, or the Shade Room. If you want to have information out there.
Bob Johnson up on things here.
If you ain't up on things.
I got some really good friends. So to me, it's a question of people have a right to be heard and people have a right to hear.
Goddamn right.
And that's what content is all about. I mean, if you were talking about hip hop music had to find its audience and by distribution. Because if the main broadcast stations, radio stations, wouldn't play hip hop because of the words or because of the meaning of the words, they would never get their audience. So as technology evolves, it gets rid of the gatekeepers. And what I'm all about, and particularly for minority audiences, is you gotta eliminate the gatekeepers, because the gatekeepers control much of the technology that delivers information and content into our home. And as long as they control those gates, they are the censors who decide what is heard, when it's heard, and therefore you're subject to being deprived of your right to hear voices that somebody else does not believe you have a right to hear.
Oh, hell no!
To your point. And so when we look about, or take a look at digital platforms, something that I see that's interesting right now is just to say content right now is becoming more and more fragmented. Once upon a time we knew that there was a turning of the channel, then it became the cable box and all the 8 channels that you spoke on earlier and how many you actually watched, to now the platforms in which you access is so many. There's Hulu, there's Netflix, there's a new one popping up every day, and now, kind of even further, you have the bundle packages that you have spoke on to these micro packages and platforms that are now catering to that. What's your thought on just how fragmented it is, and then how do advertisers work around it?
Well, there will always be aggregators. Aggregators will always put together programming to deliver to audiences. And part of the reason is audiences like that. They like somebody to select a bundle of programs that you can decide that you want to listen to or engage. And that was happening. It's happened before. This idea of aggregation is not new. If you think about magazine distributors, you remember you walk into a railroad station or you walk into a grocery store or a drugstore, what do you see? You see a magazine rack of every magazine that you can imagine. It can range from Playboy to National Review to Vogue magazine.
Right.
Somebody decided we were going to aggregate those for you, and people like that. So they didn't have to go around and go from place to place to pick the ones out. And that's what's happened with, whether it's Hulu, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Apple, with AT&T or DirecTV, they say, we're going to put them all together for you. People like that. What they don't like is to have to pay for something that they don't want to watch or don't want to listen to.
Absolutely.
And that's what digital is doing. It's eliminating the right of someone to bundle the programs for you, the cable programs for you, and say, I'm going to give you 100 cable channels and charge you $60 a month, and you're going to say, I only watch 10 of them. Sorry, you got to pay for all 100.
Right.
And not say, well, just pay for the ones you own,
Exactly.
And so, very seldom do you go to a restaurant and the guy says, you got to eat all these 10 things. And I don't want to eat 10, I want to eat 2. Sorry, we're going to charge you for all 10 of them. You wouldn't accept that.
So just for not to cut you off, just because I know your team got to value time here with you, that kind of segues into two last questions. One, blockchain, and the whole decentralizing of content, decentralizing of the ownership, and the gatekeeper, basically. What is your thought on integrating blockchain, especially as African American platforms that you're creating, that you own, integrating blockchain technology?
I'm not quite familiar with blockchain technology.
What is your thought on integrating blockchain? I'm not quite familiar with blockchain technology. Blockchain.
I'm not quite familiar with blockchain technology.
What the fuck?
But, obviously there will always be people who look to buy content, and the government in digital has yet to decide that you can't restrict the amount of content you can own digitally, because there's no government control over digital in the sense that it's not using the public airwaves. So they haven't figured out a way to say, for example, television has what they call a public interest obligation to the public because they use public airways, and they got to do programming for the public. Remember, they have to do children's programming, they have the right, they have to do news, and Facebook and Twitter, and they don't have to do anything in the public interest. Now they may do it, but the government can't make them do it.
Last question, what does the future hold for Mr. Bob Johnson?
Well, the thing that I'm most excited about is creating opportunities for very talented, particularly African American individuals, to build themselves and their families a great future by using their talent, their expertise, and their vision to create something for themselves and to create something for those people who support them. And I've done that from the moment I started BET to today with RLJ Entertainment, is giving people the chance to show what they can do when the broader market sometimes deny them that opportunity. So I'm going to keep doing that as long as there are ideas out there to be pursued, talented people to join with you, and opportunity to create benefit for society, benefit for yourself.
This is Mike Johns, Mr. Bob Johnson, Check This Out News. We out.
So say the dark secret, signing out. Peace.